The vanishing fleet commander Zara pressed her three-fingered hand against the observation deck's viewport. Outside, the vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly, dotted with distant stars that seemed to mock her growing concern. For 6 cycles, ships had been disappearing near the human territories, not destroyed, not captured, simply gone, as if they had never existed at all. The galactic hegemony had ruled over 47 species for nearly a millennium. Their military doctrine was simple and effective. Overwhelm with superior numbers, break the enemy's spirit, then integrate the survivors into their empire. It had worked without fail against every civilization they encountered, until they reached the humans. "Status report," Zara commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered entire star systems. Her second-in-command, Sub-Commander Thex, approached with careful steps. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep nervousness that Zara had learned to recognize over their many campaigns together. "Commander, our deep space sensors have detected nothing unusual in Sector 779. The human colonies appear to be operating normally. Agricultural shipments, civilian transports, standard commercial traffic." Thex paused, his mandibles clicking softly. "But Scout Group Epsilon has missed their scheduled report. They are now 43 hours overdue." Zara turned from the viewport, her silver uniform catching the artificial light of the bridge. "That makes 12 scout ships in 6 cycles. All of them vanished without sending a distress signal, without debris fields, without any trace at all. What do we know about human military capabilities?" The intelligence officer, a thin creature from the Melody system, projected a holographic display in the center of the bridge. "According to all available data, humanity possesses standard fusion reactors, basic kinetic weapons, and rudimentary shield technology. Their largest vessels are cargo haulers designed for interstellar commerce. They have no registered military fleet with the Galactic Council." "No registered fleet," Zara repeated slowly, tasting the words. Something about this entire situation felt wrong. In her 300 years of military service, she had developed an instinct for danger. That instinct was screaming at her now. "And yet our scouts keep disappearing. 12 ships do not simply vanish, Officer Krell. Perhaps they encountered spatial anomalies," Thex suggested, though his tone indicated he didn't believe his own theory. "The region near human space does border the Void Nebula. Navigation can be treacherous there." Zara moved to the tactical display, studying the positions where each scout ship had last reported. There was a pattern here, she was certain of it. The disappearances formed a rough sphere around human core worlds, approximately 50 light-years in diameter. It was too perfect to be natural phenomena. "Prepare my personal cruiser," she announced suddenly. "I want a small task force. 3 destroyers, 2 science vessels. We're going to investigate personally." "Commander, protocol demands that any investigation into potentially hostile territory requires a full battle group," Krell began, but Zara silenced him with a gesture. "A full battle group is what they expect. Whatever is happening to our scouts, it's clear that standard approaches aren't working. We need to try something different." She turned to address the entire bridge crew. "I want complete sensor silence once we cross into the affected zone. No active scans, minimal communications. We're going to drift in like a piece of space debris and see what we can observe." The journey to the edge of human space took 3 standard days. During that time, Zara reviewed every piece of intelligence they had gathered on humanity. They were a young species, having achieved faster-than-light travel only a century ago. Their homeworld, Earth, was located in a relatively unremarkable spiral arm of the galaxy. By all accounts, they should have been an easy addition to the hegemony. As her task force approached the last known position of scout ship Theta 9, Zara ordered all non-essential systems powered down. They would coast on momentum alone, appearing to any observers as nothing more than asteroids caught in the star's gravitational pull. "Commander," whispered the sensor operator, his voice barely audible on the darkened bridge. "I'm detecting something. It's faint, almost like background radiation, but there's a pattern to it. Can you identify the source?" Zara asked, moving to look over his shoulder at the readings. "It appears to be everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. The entire region is saturated with low-level quantum fluctuations that shouldn't exist in normal space." The operator's fingers danced over his controls. "Wait, there's something else. A gravitational shadow approximately 2,000 kilometers to starboard, but visual sensors show nothing there." Zara felt her hearts begin to beat faster. "Magnify that section. All passive sensors on that location." The main screen shifted, showing what appeared to be empty space. But as they watched, the stars behind that area seemed to shimmer slightly like heat waves rising from hot pavement. It was almost imperceptible, but once noticed, impossible to ignore. By the ancient stars, Thex breathed. There's something there. Something huge. Without warning, space itself seemed to ripple. Where before there had been nothing, a vessel materialized as if stepping out from behind an invisible curtain. It was unlike anything in the hegemony's databases. The ship's hull was not the smooth, polished metal favored by most spacefaring civilizations, nor the organic curves of the Melody vessels. Instead, it appeared to be composed of overlapping geometric panels that shifted and moved independently, creating a surface that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The vessel was easily the size of a hegemony battleship, but it moved with the grace of something much smaller. As they watched, frozen in disbelief, words appeared on their communication screen, not spoken through audio channels, but simply appearing as if typed by invisible hands. "Greetings, Commander Zara. We've been expecting you." Zara struggled to maintain her composure. "Identify yourself." "I am Captain Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Ship Whisper. Welcome to the Silent Zone, Commander. I trust your journey was comfortable." "The Silent Zone?" Zara repeated, noting how her crew shifted nervously at the ominous name. "That's what we call it," Webb's text continued. "A 50 light-year sphere around human core worlds where uninvited guests tend to experience Karn difficulties. Your 12 scout ships are safe, by the way. We've been keeping them in temporal stasis. No harm has come to them, though they're probably quite confused." "Temporal stasis?" Krell exclaimed before he could stop himself. "That's impossible. The energy requirements alone would be—" "Impossible by hegemony standards, perhaps," Webb interrupted. "But then you've been measuring us by the wrong metrics. Tell me, Commander Zara, did you really think a species that went from horse-drawn carriages to nuclear fission in less than 50 years would be content with basic fusion reactors and kinetic weapons?" Zara chose her words carefully. "Our intelligence suggests—" "Your intelligence sees what we wanted it to see. Every cargo ship you scanned, every colony you observed, every piece of technology you analyzed. It was all carefully curated theater. We learned about your expansion patterns, your conquest methodology, your tendency to evaluate threats based on visible military assets. So we showed you exactly what you expected to see from a young, peaceful civilization." The human ship began to move, circling Zara's task force like a predator studying prey. As it moved, more ships materialized from nothingness. 5, 10, 20 vessels, each one as impossible as the first. "How?" Zara asked simply. "Quantum field manipulation," Webb explained. "Every atom vibrates at specific frequencies. We learned to shift those frequencies just enough to move objects partially out of phase with normal spacetime. Your sensors can't detect what exists in the spaces between spaces. We've had an entire fleet stationed here for months watching your scouts, learning your protocols." "Then why reveal yourselves now?" Zara demanded, though she suspected she knew the answer. "Because you came personally, Commander. You're not just another scout pilot or ambitious captain. You're someone with the authority to make decisions, to carry a message back to your leadership." There was a pause before the next message appeared. "Humanity has a proposition for the galactic hegemony." The Silent Hunters. 3 weeks after Commander Zara's encounter with the Whisper, the galactic hegemony's third armada assembled at the edge of human space. 400 warships, the pride of the Empire that had never known defeat, formed into perfect battle formations. Admiral Kron, veteran of the Savage Wars and conqueror of the Etherian Confederation, stood aboard his flagship, the Dominance. Commander Zara's report was clearly exaggerated, Kron declared to his senior staff. "Phase-shifted fleets? Temporal stasis fields? These humans have somehow tricked her with clever illusions and psychological warfare. We will show them the true meaning of power." His tactical officer, a heavily augmented cyborg from the tech worlds, disagreed quietly. "Admiral, Zara's sensor data is authentic. I've analyzed it myself. The quantum signatures are consistent with theoretical models of dimensional manipulation." "Theoretical," Kron emphasized. "No civilization has ever successfully implemented such technology. The humans are barely out of their atomic age. They cannot possibly have achieved what the greatest minds of the hegemony have failed to develop in 1,000 years." The Armada moved forward, crossing into what the humans called the Silent Zone. Immediately, every ship's sensors began registering the same quantum fluctuations Zara had reported. The space around them felt thick, almost viscous, as if they were sailing through an invisible ocean. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission. Audio and visual this time." The main screen illuminated, showing a human female in a simple gray uniform. Behind her was what appeared to be a vast control room filled with holographic displays showing the positions of every hegemony ship in real time. Her expression was calm, almost serene. "Admiral Kron, I am Ambassador Sarah Chen speaking on behalf of the United Earth Defense Coalition. You are currently surrounded by 372 phase-shifted vessels. Before you dismiss this as deception, observe." The space around the Armada shimmered. Like a vast curtain being pulled back, human ships materialized in perfect formation. They had been there all along, occupying the same space but existing in a slightly different dimensional phase. The hegemony found itself completely encircled. Kron's scales shifted to a deep purple, a sign of rage among his species. "Impossible. Our sensors should have detected gravitational distortions, energy signatures, something." "Your sensors detect what exists in your dimensional phase," Chen explained patiently. "We exist in the spaces between. Think of it like two broadcasts on slightly different frequencies. You can occupy the same space without interfering with each other, until one chooses to tune into the other's channel." "Fire all weapons," Kron commanded. "Maximum spread. If we can't target them precisely, we'll saturate the entire area." The hegemony fleet opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts, missiles, and energy beams filled space with deadly light. But the human ship simply phase-shifted again, allowing the attacks to pass harmlessly through them. They existed just slightly out of sync with normal space, close enough to observe and communicate, but far enough to be untouchable. "Now," Ambassador Chen continued as if nothing had happened, "let me demonstrate why attacking us was inadvisable." Several human vessels moved to surround a hegemony destroyer. They didn't fire any visible weapons. Instead, space itself began to warp around the enemy ship. The destroyer's hull started to groan and buckle as competing gravitational fields pulled it in different directions simultaneously. "Localized gravitational manipulation," Chen narrated clinically. "We can create point singularities smaller than atoms, or expand gravitational fields to encompass entire star systems. Your ship is currently experiencing tidal forces equivalent to orbiting a black hole at close range." The destroyer crumpled like paper, its hull collapsing inward before exploding outward in a shower of debris. The demonstration took less than 30 seconds. "Cease fire!" Kron shouted, his rage replaced by something he hadn't felt in centuries: fear. "All ships cease fire immediately." "Wise choice, Admiral," Chen acknowledged. "Now let me explain humanity's position. We have no interest in conquering other species. We've seen enough of war and dominance on our own planet, but neither will we allow ourselves to be conquered. The silent zone is our statement of sovereignty." "You would challenge the entire hegemony?" Kron asked, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Chen smiled sadly. "Admiral, we're not challenging you. We're offering you a choice. The galaxy is vast enough for multiple powers to coexist. Humanity proposes a simple arrangement. Respect our borders and we'll respect yours. Continue your expansion elsewhere if you must, but human space remains human. And if we refuse? If we return with our entire fleet?" The ambassador's expression hardened. "Then you'll discover that everything you've seen today is merely our defensive capability. I haven't shown you what our offensive weapons can do. Did you know that with sufficient gravitational manipulation, you can create tiers in space-time itself? Wormholes that open inside enemy ships, transporting portions of them to distant galaxies? Or perhaps you'd prefer to learn about our causality weapons, devices that can alter the fundamental constants of physics in localized areas." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "We developed these technologies not for conquest, but for survival. Humanity learned long ago that the best defense is to be too dangerous to attack. We studied your history, Admiral. Every species you've conquered revealed their capabilities immediately, allowing you to develop counters. We chose a different path." Kron's tactical officer spoke up. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system." They're everywhere. Thousands of them," Chen nodded. "Automated defense platforms, each one capable of generating a phase shift field or gravitational anomaly. The entire silent zone is a fortress, Admiral. Your scouts didn't disappear because we destroyed them. They vanished because we wanted to send a message. Enter our space uninvited, and you simply cease to exist in this dimension." You're holding our scouts prisoner in temporal stasis, Kron stated. Insurance, Chen corrected. They're unharmed but suspended outside normal time flow. Think of them as honored guests who have overstayed their welcome. We'll return them once we have a formal agreement. The bridge of the dominance fell silent. Kron found himself facing a decision that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. For 1,000 years, the hegemony had expanded unchecked, absorbing every civilization it encountered. Now they had met something unprecedented, a species that had hidden its true strength, that had prepared specifically for them, and that possessed technologies that rendered traditional warfare obsolete. What guarantee do we have that you won't use these weapons to expand your own territory? Kron asked finally. Because expansion through force is a path we've rejected, Chen replied. We've seen what it does to both conqueror and conquered. Humanity chooses a different way. We'll trade with anyone, share medical and agricultural technologies freely, and defend anyone who asks for our protection. But we will not build an empire on the bones of other civilizations, she gestured, and new images appeared on the screen. Human ships working alongside various alien species, building hospitals, distributing food, teaching agriculture. This is our vision for humanity's role in the galaxy. Partners, not conquerors. Defenders, not destroyers. The Hegemony Council will not accept this easily, Kron warned. Then we'll wait, Chen said simply. The silent zone remains. Any ship that enters without permission will be placed in stasis until your government decides. We have all the time in the universe, Admiral. The question is, do you? As the Third Armada retreated from human space, Admiral Kron found himself composing the most difficult report of his career. How could he explain that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their phase shift technology or gravitational manipulators? It was their patience, their willingness to appear weak while preparing for a threat that might never come, and their choice to use overwhelming power only as a shield rather than a sword. The galaxy would never be the same. The hegemony's age of unopposed expansion had ended, not with a great battle or heroic last stand, but with a simple demonstration that some species were too dangerous to conquer. And in the silent zone, humanity waited quietly, their invisible fleet standing eternal watch, ready to welcome friends and vanish enemies with equal ease.